and welcome to Great Getaways. Rivers in Michigan's Upper Peninsula have a way of telling stories. Stories of adventure, stories of people who have carved their lives out of the woods, and sometimes stories of legends who stand right out in the open. Today we're exploring one of the most fascinating corners of the UP, a riverside outfitter full of memories and miles of water. Today on Great Getaways, we bring you woods, waters, and legends. Let's get started.
We're starting today at a place that's welcomed paddlers, campers, and road trippers for decades. Northland Outfitters in Germfask, Michigan.
We're here today. We're at Northland Outfitters. We are in Germfask, Michigan, which is in Schoolcraft County, just off of M77. As a matter of fact, right near the Canoe National Wildlife Refuge. Now, we have actually canoed this river before in the past, but it's been some 20 years since then. We thought, hey, let's go over there and do it again. We haven't been there in a while. It has changed hands since then, so we're going to be meeting some new people. But it's a great river to be on. Pretty sure we're going to have some fun. I want to go introduce you to everybody. Come on along.
Before we head inside, there's one thing you should know. Northland Outfitters isn't just a store. It's where up north adventurers get their start.
Hi, how you doing?
Hey there, how goes it?
I am Tom Boyle from Great Getaways. I think Danny called earlier and was talking about doing a trip down the river.
Yeah.
We wanted to find out more about it. Now, we have been to your place here, but way in the past. We met a couple of previous owners that we went out with, but you guys now have had it for how long?
This is our fourth summer.
Yep, just over 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
A lot's changed, but all the right things stayed the same.
Okay, real quick. You're Levi,
I'm
right?
Levi, yep.
Yep.
And this is my
And
wife.
Doree?
And I'm Doree, yes.
Doree.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and Brady is the last name now?
It is.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Well, what we'd like to do, just go on a short trip, see a little bit of the river, show people what it's like and how hard or easy it really is for them.
Sure.
Learn more about your place here. You've got a campground here too.
We do, yep. We just have 9 sites and 8 cabins.
Okay, we got cabins too.
Yeah. It's a
Okay.
cozy little spot.
It is a great spot here.
Yeah.
And now, do you guys do anything with the scenic area?
We do a 4-hour trip through the Canoe Wildlife Refuge, and that is you set off here and we pick you up down there at the Mead Creek Campground. And
Okay.
So we'll meet you down there with the van and then drag you back here to the campground.
Okay. What other kind of trips do you have?
Lots of different day trips, as short as 1 hour and then as long as about 6 hours for a day trip. We also offer overnight trips where, essentially you just take a boat to go. We help coordinate, some different places to camp with you, pick a spot where we're going to pick you up at, and then we just come swoop you up whenever you're ready to go.
Okay, well, I want to get something set up. Before I do, though, I want to talk about your place here. Now, you got a little gift shop in here?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have quite the gift shop. We commissioned a big, a famous artist to do this huge art sculpture here, so we get a lot of traffic coming through, sell a lot of memorabilia, and then, all kinds of odds and ends here in the gift shop, just about everything you need.
I heard something about a troll. What is that all about?
Yeah, that's Benny the Beard Fisher, the troll that Thomas Dambo did here at the campground in July of 2023.
Yep.
Okay, it's right here, though.
Yep.
It is.
Oh, how cool is that?
Absolutely. Came all the way from Denmark. Did one right here at Northland.
Okay, some of you may have seen pictures of it already on Facebook or something, but we're going to go down and take some shots of it too and get a close-up look at it.
Yeah.
So let's set up a little trip here.
Let's do it.
Just something short, hour and a half, 2 hours, something. Can we do something like that?
Absolutely. I think we'd like to show you part of our 2.5-hour trip. The wonderful thing about that particular trip is we take you upstream and you end here at the campground.
So we come right back to it.
Yeah, and I guess the single best thing about it is that Benny the Beard Fisher, he's right on the bank of the river, and that trip is the one that you pass right by him. So you get to see him from a different angle.
That sounds like a good reason for somebody to take the trip just for that.
Yeah, and it's great because you're on your own time on that trip, so whenever you get back here, it's not specifically at 2.5 hours. That just means it's 2.5 hours at a moderate paddle to get back here.
Okay.
So there's a bunch of good beaches you can go swimming at.
Yeah, huts around out there.
Now, just canoeing, you have kayaks or rafts or anything like that?
Yeah.
We got a nice assortment of kayaks, single kayaks, double kayaks, sit on top, sit-ins, and then lots of canoes, and then little junior boats for the young ones.
The young ones. How cool is that? Well, this is great. Hey, I'll tell you what. Can we get a little tour of the place here?
Yeah, we can take you around. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Let's go ahead and do a little bit of a tour, take a look at the place, and then we'll get on the water.
From fishing tackle and camping gear to boots, jackets, and everyday outdoor wear, Northland Outfitters is stocked for life up here in the North Country, and a stop many visitors make to gear up once they arrive. Let's step outside and see where all this gear really comes to life. With owner Levi Brady showing me around the grounds, it's easy to see how Northland Outfitters is tied right into the way people spend their time up here. This is where the adventure really starts.
The river here, we're taking a look at the campground, and we see a camper out here. I see some of your cabins out here. And I see, what is this, Benny? Is that Benny?
That's Benny the Beard Fisher, the big giant troll that Thomas Dambo came to the site and built 2 years ago. He's a huge attraction, and people come through here at all times of the day to come take pictures with Benny. And then, these are a couple of the new cabins here. They have a bunch of nice antiques in them and queen beds. They have heat, air, mini fridge, microwave, a TV, all the little creature comforts.
Yeah.
And then this is the river that we'll be canoeing down later, and so we'll pass right by Benny when we get back to the campground.
Okay, sounds good. Now, what about people, they're not going to say canoe or rent a place here, but they would like to see Benny. Can they do that?
Yep, so you just swing on down to the gift shop, and you come in, and it's $10 a carload, up to 6 people.
Okay.
And then we give you a little map and show you where you're off to, and it's about a 2 or 3 minute walk. We also provide golf cart rides to people that can't make that little trek out there. So we make sure everybody gets out to see them.
So you can see it and get some photos and video, and it looks pretty cool from here. I was thinking, I walked over here, you just see the head, and I'm thinking Bigfoot, you know?
Right, people think it's an owl from here, Bigfoot, a bunch of different things. And the kids really kind of lose their mind when they get up to them, so maybe we should walk over and take a look at them.
Yeah, we'll do that.
From there, it was time to see things from the water. Levi and his assistant slid into their kayaks, while Denny and I pushed off in a canoe. I did the paddling, and Denny captured it all on camera.
Well, Levi, tell us a little bit about this part of the river. What can we expect to see besides it looks like some deadfalls and some sweepers out of the river?
Yeah, so it's an old logging river, so there are some obstacles in your way, but it moves about 3 to 4 miles an hour.
Okay.
I like to tell people you can really slow down your boat by backpedaling, and so you can avoid it if you're paying attention out here. And we're about 2 hours into the 2.5 hour trip. We're getting close to the campground. You can expect a lot of curves on this river. It's one of the curviest rivers in Michigan.
Oh, is that right?
Yep. So it's a great river to paddle for families and people of all skill sets.
Now, does the water flow stay pretty consistent throughout the year?
It does, yeah. The river does drop another 3 to 4 feet mid-summer, but
wow.
It stays pretty consistent. The reason it's this color is because of the cedar tannins, like on the boat.
Okay.
So it goes through all of those, and tannins dye the water brown. And it gets clearer as the season progresses. So the Manistique Lake up there near Curtis, it is spring fed, and so it supplies water year round, but it meets up with the Fox just above us here. And let me get away from it. Yep, so the Manistique River is fed by the Manistique Lakes, which is spring fed. And it also merges up right above us with the Fox River. And so that's a blue ribbon brook trout. fishing stream. And yeah, it goes all the way down into Lake Michigan in Manistique, Michigan.
So do you set up trips to the Fox?
We do day trips up on the Fox and overnight trips.
As I paddle forward, the noise of the modern world fades away. All that's left is the rhythm of the river and the deep history of the Native Americans who once relied on these waters.
Spiritually and culturally, rivers like the Manistique were more than transportation routes. They were living entities. Oral traditions describe water as a gift with responsibilities attached, and many camps along the river were used repeatedly over generations. With the arrival of European traders in the 17th and 18th centuries, the Manistique became part of regional fur trade networks, though it remained firmly within Anishinaabe territory. Treaties in the 19th century, including the Treaty of 1836, dramatically altered land ownership, but they did not erase native presence. Today, the Manistique River still holds cultural significance for tribal communities in the region, standing as a reminder of deep history, enduring connections, and the original people who knew and named these waters long before maps did. The Manistique River has long been part of the lifeway of the Anishinaabe people, particularly the Ojibwe, Chippewa, with Odawa and Potawatomi connections, who lived throughout Michigan's Upper Peninsula for centuries before European contact. The river served as a vital travel corridor, linking inland lakes and wetlands to Lake Michigan. Birch bark canoes moved easily along its slow stretches, allowing families to trade, fish, hunt, and gather seasonally. The Manistique and its tributaries provided abundant fish, including sturgeon, walleye, and whitefish, while the surrounding wetlands supported wild rice, medicinal plants, and game. The beaver wars of the 1600s reshaped life for the native peoples connected to the Manistique River, particularly Anishinaabe groups, such as the Ojibwe, who depended on the river as a travel route and seasonal home. As European demand for beaver pelts intensified, long-standing trade networks turned violent, drawing the region into conflicts, driven largely by competition for hunting grounds and control of waterways. Alliances changed, and traditional territories were threatened by raids and displacement. The river, once primarily a place of subsistence and community, became part of a larger fur trade frontier where survival meant balancing age-old traditions with the growing pressures of war, trade, and European influence. If you would like more information on the history of Native Americans on Manistique River, you can contact the Sioux Tribe at 906-635-6050.
Now it's time to paddle back down the historic Manistique River. We went upriver from the outfitter earlier, and now we're letting the river guide us back. If you look ahead on the left, you'll see a sweeper reaching out into the river. You always want to watch for those. We learned that the hard way once on the Two-Hearted River, canoeing with a guide and resort owner. If anyone should have avoided it, it was them. But the sweeper caught their canoe, and the swift water flipped them right over. As the river carries us along, Levi and his assistant offer up some helpful advice on one of my favorite topics, fishing. He breaks down the legal size limits for the fish you're likely to run into here.
For brook trout and rainbows and browns, you're allowed to keep 5 for your daily limit. Depending on which section of the river, your on-size limits vary a little bit. But the rule of thumb is 8 inches for brook trout, and then 12 to 15 for browns and rainbows. And that is approximate.
This time of year, the river still carries the memory of winter. All that spring snowmelt keeps the water running higher, and that's just part of the natural cycle here. Right now, it's about where you'd expect it to be for the season, still fuller and moving a little stronger than it will later on. As summer settles in, the river begins to ease back. The water level will drop, often a foot, sometimes even 2, revealing more of the banks and slowing the current. It's a gradual change, almost quiet, but you can feel it happening. A reminder that this river is always adjusting, shaped by the seasons, flowing on its own schedule, long before we arrive.
So Kevin, are there good spots that people can stop along the river, have a picnic, maybe swim a little bit?
Yeah, so the 2.5-hour trip that we're on now is the most popular trip by far. It's got a lot of great beaches that pop up when the water drops a little bit more. And so even though it's a 2.5-hour trip from the drop-off to the takeout at Northland Outfitters Campground, you can really turn it into an all-day thing. So the kids can go with you, stretch your legs and swim on the beaches, and you can have a picnic. And then you end right back at Northland Outfitters Campground. So, you know, it's you're on your own time and it's the best of both worlds. Yeah, so my wife Doree and I, we saw Northland Outfitters Campground online. We were just basically looking for anywhere in the country to find a spot that fit. And in our search, we saw that canoe and kayak liveries were kind of something that would keep us more busy than just babysitting a parking lot. So that narrowed our search. We saw Northland pop up and we decided to take a trip to Chicago on the cheap. Got a rental car, drove up here. We were here for about an hour and a half at the campground and then did this 2.5-hour trip, and we were sold. We got out here and fell in love and decided, let's just go for it.
And you came from where?
We came from Colorado. Yep. We had never been to Michigan and never heard of the UP before we moved up here. Decided to take the leap, and it's been great ever since.
Were you surprised it was such a wild area in Michigan still?
Yeah, yes, it's kind of set back in time. If this type of river and business was in Colorado, it would be full of people. It would probably be pretty trashed, and you know, you probably couldn't even get a time to get out here in a canoe. It would be so packed. So it feels good to kind of get set back in time a little bit.
Tucked deep in Michigan's Upper Peninsula, the Manistique River flows through true wilderness, quiet forests, wide wetlands, and miles of untouched shoreline. It's a place where cell signals fade, wildlife replaces traffic noise, and time slows to the rhythm of the river. Whether paddling, fishing, or just soaking in the stillness, the Manistique offers the kind of great getaway that lets you truly unplug and breathe again.
So when people take a trip like this one, they're coming down, they're paddling back to your place as opposed to going somewhere to be picked up. Are they allowed more time? You said it was 2.5-hour trip. Do you give them extra time, or do you worry about that?
We try to get people out on the water before a certain time, so we like to have everybody out on the water before 2 p.m.
Okay.
That way they're back by 5:30, and we're not worrying too much about them. And yeah, we do offer other trips as well if the 2.5-hour doesn't really suit you. We have a 1-hour and a 4-hour trip that launch from the campground, and we set pickup times for you. And we'll meet you down there with the van and bring you back to the campground. We also offer 1 to 6 day overnight trips, and people can start at the campground and take a canoe to go and end up down in Manistique. A lot of the people that take the trips are from lower Michigan, I would say, and Wisconsin.
Okay.
But there are some out-of-staters that come up here and just want the North Country adventure. And so they get out there with their backpacks and tents and take a canoe.
Compared to, like you were talking about, it being Colorado, it would be trashed. So this is a gem.
This is a gem, yep. And we get really respectful people out here, and it's just not as crowded as Colorado has gotten. So people tend to take better care of it. It's not so much of a party river, it's more of a nature paddle.
We're getting back towards the campground now. And let's see Benny.
Benny's right here on the river, yeah. Thomas Dambo, the artist from Denmark. We didn't know what he was gonna do, and we pay half the commission, and he comes to do a site visit, and he sees the spot. We went out for some food and drinks in Grand Marais, and the next morning he woke up and he came up with the pose that Benny's in. And so he's facing the river to interact with the kayakers while he's fishing with his beard out of the river. So it's real fun for kids when they come by here. Yeah, they kind of lose their mind. They don't know he's around the corner, and then when they see Benny here.
Oh, I imagine. Yeah.
Yep, he's made out of all recycled material. His head and the feet of the troll got shipped from Denmark, and then we gathered up all the material locally and had it waiting in piles for them. It took 11 days to build Benny. We had 20 to 40 volunteers a day And he travels with about 11 artist builders from all around the world.
Wow.
There are more than 150 Thomas Dambo trolls scattered around the world, part of his global Trail of 1,000 Trolls project, with installations across Europe, Asia, Australia, and the Americas. And even if you're not planning to get out on the river, you can still stop and visit Benny. A short, easy path leads straight from the parking lot to the big guy, and it's just $10 per carload. As you can see, people come from all over to experience this one-of-a-kind stop. While we were there, we even met a couple traveling the world to see all of Thomas Dambo's creations. Manistique was their next stop after seeing one he built in Seattle. It's a memorable visit and absolutely worth your time. As our float down the Manistique River comes to an end, it's clear this journey was about more than just the paddle. Around every bend, we felt the quiet presence of those who traveled this river long before us, native families who depended on its waters for life, trade, and tradition. And then, tucked into the forest, a modern surprise, a 20-foot troll reminding us that storytelling still lives here. This river carries history, imagination, and wilderness all in one gentle current, and it's waiting for you to discover it too. Our first visit here was 25 years ago with Tom Gronbach, the man who founded Northland Outfitters. Tom was more than a guide, he was a close friend, and we shared many great adventures together. Let's take a moment now to look back at where it all began with this short clip from that first trip. The first thing Tom did was walk me through the proper way to get in and use a kayak. And you have to remember, 25 years ago, kayaking was still just starting to grow in popularity.
It's a type of activity, if you remember a few things, it's really quite simple. And I'll show you a couple of them right now, get you started with, and as you get in and get comfortable with it, I think you'll pick it up real quick, okay? So here's what we got to do. You want to take your watercraft and put it in the water here, parallel to the bank. So just slide it on down. All right. Okay, so the total watercraft is basically in shallow water right now.
Okay.
So what this does, it allows you to grab the left side of the watercraft with your left hand and just stabilize yourself while I hold on to the kayak here a little bit. Put your left foot in. Okay. Put your hands on each side.
Like this?
Mm-hmm, that's good. Put your right foot in and just simply slide your feet forward and sit down in the chair. Okay. You comfortable? Comfortable. Okay. The chair is sitting basically right on the floor of the kayak. This allows you to keep your center of gravity extremely low and the watercraft becomes extremely stable.
Okay.
So it's not a tippy watercraft. It just sits in the water just nice and flat and becomes very easy to paddle and steer. Now as you're paddling, what you want to do here is you want to hold onto the paddle with one hand on each side.
Okay.
As you're paddling, just paddle off to the right and the left. You don't have to dig extremely deep with the paddle unless you want to turn. You can rudder it in the same fashion you do a canoe.
Oh, okay. All right.
So if you want to turn to the right.
And that was it. It was 25 years ago. After learning the basics of kayaking, I pushed off and began floating down the Manistique River, the very same river carrying us through today's journey. I've been kayaking ever since. Now back to the present.
Well, I want to thank you guys for letting us go out, taking us out, showing us around. You did a great job with this place. It's really looking good over here.
Yeah, really appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we're really excited to have you guys back here. It's been a lot of fun and
Learning some of your history with Tom Gronbach.
Oh yeah,
that
going
was
back in
special.
time.
Yep, absolutely.
What's your future look like?
Hopefully a lot more of this.
Now, you growing it in certain ways? Got some ideas?
I don't want to, count our chickens before they hatch, but
Right.
just right now we're really content and just want to keep things in, happy, healthy for everybody.
And you've done a great job. I really do like what you've done with it. Fixed it up. It's great for the entire family to come in here and have some fun and enjoy the outdoors. I also want to thank Kevin and Jeff here that have helped us out today. And Kevin was out with us on the water. Jeff was back here standing by waiting for a radio call. Come on, get us! Fortunately, that didn't happen, but a great time. Once again, thank you guys for all your help.
yes,
Awesome.
it was a pleasure. Thank you guys.
From the rivers in Germfask, this area of Michigan reminds us that rivers and legends can stand side by side. If you want more information on today's show, you can go to our website at greatgetaways.tv. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.